Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be making a simple body butter recipe. Um, I remember when I first started making body butters and stuff like that, I would get incorrect information off of Google, and I started joining like Facebook groups, and I kind of taught myself how to make stuff because when you first start learning how to make body products, it's a very steep learning curve. Like, you just don't know how to make products. Like, you have to learn a lot of different information, and it takes time. So today I just wanted to make a simple recipe. It's really one of my best recipes, and it's simple for beginners. So if you want to learn how to make a good body butter, then stay tuned to this video. Okay guys, so let's get started on this recipe. Now the first thing you want to do when you are making a body butter is you want to start with your oil and your butter phase. The oils and the butters that I will be using today are shea butter, and then I have some cocoa butter. These were wafers, but they ended up melting and then clumping back together. But this is cocoa butter. You can tell by how brittle it is. And then I will be using some coconut oil. And then I will be using jojoba oil. Now, my shea butter is already weighed out. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in my bowl. And then the next butter that I will be weighing out is my cocoa butter. So, oh, and for the shea butter, it's let me see, you need 7.50 ounces or 215.46 grams of shea. So the next ingredient that I will be putting in is my cocoa butter. So I'm just going to put this on my scale. I'm going to set the unit to grams because I like working with grams because I think that it's easier. And I need, let me see, 53.86 grams. So 53.86. Okay, so this is 53 grams, and that is about 2%. And I'm gonna write the whole recipe in down below in the description box. So, okay, and the next oil that I will be using is my coconut oil. So just gonna recalibrate my scale, make sure it's on 0. And for the coconut oil, I will need 215.46 grams, and that would be 7.6 or 50 ounces. So that's a lot of coconut oil. And this body butter, it comes out so rich and creamy and nice. And I really think it's because of the coconut and the shea. Coconut is a great oil for skin. It penetrates deep in your skin, and it's just a really good oil. So I have to open this. I go through oils so quick, you guys, and butters. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but this is gonna be a 95-ounce batch. So it's gonna be a pretty big batch. So if you don't wanna make that big of a batch, all you have to do is go to wholesale supplies Plus calculator, and I'm gonna put the percentages of everything that I use down below in the description box, and then you can redo it yourself to however many ounces you want. $215. Okay, so we have 215 grams of coconut oil. So the next oil that I will be using is jojoba oil. And I love jojoba oil because they say that it's really not an oil, it's kind of like a wax, and it kind of mimics like the oil production in our skin, and it's just a really great moisturizing oil. So for this, I need 7%, which will be 6.65 ounces or 188.52 grams. So I'm just going to get my other bottle over here. Gotta open it, that would help. Just 188. Okay. I just went a gram over, but that's okay. It's not gonna throw off the recipe. So I'm just gonna pour that in. And then the next thing that I'm gonna be putting in is beeswax. I forgot about the beeswax. Now, beeswax is very important. It's a very important ingredient to have. If you want your body butter to be thick and stabilized, then you use beeswax, because beeswax is kind of like a stabilizer to your body butter, and it makes it thick and it helps it not melt, especially in the summer months when you're selling and you got to ship your stuff out. Beeswax will hold everything together, so it's very important to have. Always keep beeswax on hand. So this is the beeswax that I use. I use a white organic beeswax. It's a really good brand. And I use about 3% of beeswax, and that will be 2.85 ounces or 80.80 grams. Now, you usually don't want to use too much of the beeswax because it can make it a little bit too thick, and you don't want your body butter to be hard. You still want it to have, you know, that slick feeling when you put it on. So I'm just gonna pour that in. Take my spatula and get the rest out because I don't want to waste anything. I'm very big on not wasting ingredients. We cannot do that. Okay. So the next thing that I will be using is, get this out the way, emulsifying wax. Now, emulsifying wax is very important in body butter, especially if you're going to have water in your products. You need emulsifying wax to make sure your waters and your oils and your butters mix. So that's basically what emulsifying wax does for your body butter. Without it, your oils and your water would not mix, and it would be a shitty body butter. I'm just gonna open this. I got this from Brambleberry. This is the 5-pound bag of emulsifying wax. I need this because I make a lot of body butter. Brambleberry is a really good company to get supplies from. It's one of the only ones that I use. The shipping and stuff can be a little bit expensive, and sometimes the products can be pricey too, but I just love their products and I know what I'm getting. So that's why I shop with Brambleberry. So for emulsifying wax, we need 9%, and that would be 8.55 ounces or 242.39 grams. So just gonna pour that in. And you may be saying, oh my God, that's a lot of emulsifying wax, but it's really not, because it's a big batch and I'm going to be using a lot of water. So I need all of this to make sure that the oil mixes with the water. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour that in. Okay. Okay. So now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna go get my water. And just a quick tip, always use distilled water when you are making body butter. Never use tap water. Always use distilled water. You don't know what's in tap water, so you don't want to be putting that in your body butter. Put this to the side. Okay. I'm just going to move everything now. And I'm going to get my pot and my water. So this is my oil and my butter phase. So now we're just going to melt everything down. This is how I do my double boiler method. I don't have a traditional double boiler, so I just make my own by getting like a little pot of water, and then I set my bowl over it. And I'm going to put my heat on medium, and I'm just going to wait for everything to melt down. Now this step is very important. And also, while I'm melting this down, I'm going to put on my distilled water so my water can be heating up at the exact same time. But like I was saying, this step is very important. You don't want to melt your butters too fast, because it can destroy the properties of your butters and your oils. So you want to melt it down fairly slowly and kind of temper it to make sure you keep all of those good properties and benefits in your body butter. So just be very careful when you're doing this. And also, if you melt it down too fast, it can also make your body butter have like clumps in it, and it could be grainy, and nobody wants a grainy body butter. Like everybody wants their body butter to be smooth and creamy. So really be careful when you are melting your butters down. So I'm just gonna let this sit, and I will stir it a little bit to make sure it's melting down properly, and then I will be back. Okay guys, so while my oils and my butters are melting, I'm gonna weigh out my water. I'm gonna tell you exactly how much water you need. So basically, remember to always use distilled water. Always. Never use tap water because you never know what's in tap, what type of chemicals they have in it, and you don't want your customers or yourself putting that on your skin. So for my water, I'm gonna be using 61.5% water. That's 61.5% of the whole recipe. And then in ounces, that would be 58.43 ounces. And in grams, 1,656.32. So I'm just gonna change this to ounces. I'm gonna pour. So that filled it all the way to the top. So I'm just gonna pour this in. And you always have to make sure that you heat up your distilled water so you can sterilize your water to make sure there's no germs in there and to make sure that everything is safe. So just gonna heat this up. And sometimes I'll pour more water in, but since my pot is a little bit too small for that, I'm gonna have to replace whatever water evaporates, because when you're boiling water, it evaporates. So you have to replace it to make sure that you have the right amount of water. So always remember to do that, just to make sure that your recipe always comes out the same weight. Okay, so as you can see, all my oils and my butters are melted down. So now I'm just waiting on my water to be properly sterilized and boiled, and then I will be able to mix. So this is exactly how you want your oils to look. And make sure everything is completely melted down, and don't do it too fast. You have to temper your your oils to make sure that you don't lose those beneficial properties. This is the process that I hate. I hate it the most because I just want to start mixing and making my body butter and getting them out the door, but you gotta have patience while you're making this, and you gotta take your time, or it's not gonna come out right. You cannot rush perfection, you guys. So just take your time with it. Take your time, and the more you take your time, the better your stuff will be. Trust me, because I have learned the hard way. When you rush through making stuff like this, it just messes everything up because you're not paying attention. You're not measuring stuff out right. You know what I mean? So you just have to make sure everything is properly done step by step to make sure that it comes out great. Alright guys, so I'm back and everything was heated up, and my butters are cooled down, the water is sterilized, and now I have my temperature gun. This step is really important because you don't want to pour your water into your oils and butters too early, because then it'll take a long time for everything to mix up. And you also want to check the temperature to see when you can pour your preservative in. So it's very important to have a temperature gun just to check. So my oils and my butters is 105.6, and then my water is 115, and that's like the perfect temperature to pour my water into my butter. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Now watch this. This is like magic, you guys. Look at that. As you can see, the butters and oils turn white. You see that? Because of the emulsifying wax. The emulsifying wax, it makes everything mix up. So now I'm just gonna take my mixer and I'm gonna start mixing everything. Now this is the fun part to me. I love mixing up my stuff. Now let's get mixing, you guys. Now because this is a nice sized batch, it might take a minute for everything to start getting thick. So the temperature is 107. It's like the perfect temperature. It's not too hot. So yeah, because the batch is so big, it might take a minute to emulsify completely and start getting thick. So sometimes when that happens, you could either keep mixing, or you could just put it in the fridge for like 30 minutes, let it set, let it get cold, and then you can take it out and start mixing again, and everything should be thickened up by that point. So look, as you can see, my body butter is starting to get frothy on me. So it's starting to get a little bit thicker. That means that it's emulsifying and it's getting thicker and creamier. I know it's kind of hard to see because it is light, but I just wanted to show you guys the process that it goes through. So I'm gonna keep mixing. Now you can see kinda that it's starting to look like cake batter. It's not as frothy, but now it's starting to get thicker, and it's starting to kind of look like cake batter or pancake batter, whichever one. That's how you know it's getting thick. So just keep mixing. Okay, now it's starting to reach trace. It's kind of like soap in a sense. You can tell that it's getting thicker when you can make, it's kind of heavy, hold on you guys. When you can make little lines on the top of it, that's how you can tell it's getting thicker too. I also wanted to say, the more you whip this, the more air you're actually putting into it, and the fluffier it's gonna get. So if you want a nice fluffy body butter that's like smooth and airy, then you whip for the longest amount of time that you can. And that's how you make a nice and fluffy and like aerated and whipped. Now I'm just gonna let this set for a little bit so it can stiffen up a little bit. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna keep whipping. Alright guys, I'm back and guess what we have? I let it sit for about 10 minutes and look, it's finally turning into body butter. Look at that. And as it sits, and overnight especially, it's just gonna get thicker and it's gonna turn into a rich, luxurious body butter. Look at that. Ooh, it's so creamy and delicious. Look at that. So I'm just gonna keep whipping it until it's the consistency that I like, and then I'm gonna start adding my colorants and my preservative to it. So we're almost done. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my colorant. This is the colorant that I'm using. The name of this colorant is Paris, number 6. I forgot the name of this brand, but it's really good colorant and it's skin safe. Always remember when you are using mica powder that you research and you make sure that they are skin safe and not neon. I think some neons are skin safe, but I'm not sure. Just be careful because I know that with some neon colorants, they're not good for the skin. So always do your research on the brand that you're using, because you don't want to put anything in your body butter that's not good for skin. So just check this out. Check out how pretty this color is. So beautiful. And since the name of my body butter is called Fairytale Rose, I usually just make it like a light shade of pink. I don't go too hard with the color. I just want it to be like a faint, you know, girly color. So I'm just gonna shake a little bit in. And with this, when you're whipping it, make sure you mix it in first, because the powder has a tendency to fly everywhere, especially when you're whipping it. So just make sure you whip it in first so you don't have a colorant bomb going off. So I just mixed it in just a little bit. And I'm going to start mixing. Okay guys, so I finally got the color that I wanted. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. It's a really light, faint pink. You probably can't see it on my phone, but it's really pretty. It's just like a really light, faint color. Okay, so now that we have our colorant and our body butter, next is the last, or not the last step. What am I talking about? Okay, well next I'm gonna put my fragrance oil in. And this is Fairytale Rose. And you guys, when I say that this stuff smells heavenly, oh my god, it's one of my favorite scents. And my customers love this body butter. I'm always selling out. It smells so good. Okay. So I put 1% of my Fairytale Rose in my body butter. So I'm gonna weigh that out, and 1% would be 26.93 grams, or let me see, 0.95 ounces. And when you're dealing with fragrances and body butter, always check the website that you got your fragrance from to see what levels are safe to use. Like if you can use up to 1%, then only use 1%. If you can use up to 2%, then 2% is okay. But never go over the usage rate when it comes to fragrances, because they can irritate your skin because they're really strong. So let me see. 20, did I say? Fragrance is 26.93 grams. Pour that in. And then I'm gonna mix. Make sure it's mixed in first. Okay, now that our fragrance is mixed in, now we have to do the most important step, and that is our preservative. Now, I use Optiphen plus preservative because it's a broad spectrum preservative, and it's really easy to work with, and um, it's just a good preservative. Like, you have to make sure that when you have water in your products, when you introduce water into your products, always make sure that you have some type of preservative, because body butters can grow mold very quickly and bacteria very quickly when it has water. So you really have to be careful, especially if you are selling your body butters, because you don't want to sell anything that has mold in it, because that is a health hazard and it is a problem, and you can get in trouble for doing that. So you just always have to make sure that what you're putting in your stuff is safe, and you're making it safe and clean. And yes, preservative is a must. So for preservative, I use point, I think it's 0 point, or no, it's 0.50%. So that would be, let me see, 0.48 ounces, or 13.47 grams. So I'm just gonna pour this into my shot glass here. Gonna pour this into my shot glass.
Mama.
Hold on. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have children, you guys. Okay, so I just weighed out my preservative right here, and I'm gonna pour it in. But I'm gonna pour this in slowly, because sometimes when you're working with preservatives, it can make your body butter not stable. It can break your emulsion. It can do all of that stuff. And once your emulsion is broke, it's really hard to get back. And basically what an emulsion is when you put in your emulsifying wax, and your water and your oils are mixed. Sometimes when you pour this stuff in, it can break it, and then it's just oils and butters and water mixed together, and nothing is mixing. It looks kind of like cottage cheese, and you definitely don't want that to happen, because it's so hard to make your body butter come back from that. It has happened to me before, but I ended up fixing mine, luckily. But it's a pain in the ass to deal with. So when and it can also happen when you put too much preservative in your body butter. So make sure you're using the right amount of preservative for your body butter, because you don't want to put too much. You only need just a little bit when you're working with preservatives. Okay, so I'm gonna pour this in slowly, and then I'm gonna mix. Oh my god, I can do a little happy dance right now. Yay! We got the preservative in without the emulsion breaking. It looks amazing. It smells amazing. I'm so happy right now. So next, all I have to do is jar it up. Look at that, you guys. Look at how creamy it is. It's just really a simple recipe. It's not too complicated, not too hard. Anybody can do it. It's really easy to make a good quality body butter that's not super complicated. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I know that it can be very hard for beginners to get this stuff, but I wanted to break it all the way down and try to make it as simple as possible for you guys, so you can make your very own creamy, rich, beautiful body butter. Look at that. It came out perfect. Okay guys, so the body butter is done. It is looking absolutely amazing. So now it's time to put it in jars. And usually what I do is I just scoop it out and put it in. I'm not really good with piping, so I try to make the process as simple as possible. It's not about the piping and how it looks like icing and all of that. It's about how your product turns out. And that's all I really care about, because I know that my product is really good. So I just scoop it out, put it in. It can get a little bit messy sometimes, but that's okay, because that's what we got paper towel for. And yeah. Sometimes you gotta tap it down to make sure everything goes in. And also, when you're putting your body butter in jars like this, make sure you weigh it to make sure every jar is the same. That's really important, because you don't want to overfill and you don't want to underfill either. So you just got to make sure it's the right amount in each jar. These are 8-ounce jars. This is like the perfect size for my customers. Find these body butters on my Etsy. My Etsy is Snobby Girls Co, and that's Snobby Girls with a Z at the end. So GIRLZ, not an S. Snobby Girls Co on Etsy. I sell body butters, body scrubs, soap. I make handcrafted soap and everything. Came out really good. Alright you guys, so we are at the end of this video, and this is the final product. It came out absolutely amazing. But like I was saying, it's not hard to make this at all. I only used a few ingredients: Shea, cocoa butter, coconut oil, jojoba oil, preservative, fragrance oil, mica powder. Not that many ingredients to make this. It's super simple, super easy. And save your coins, girl. Make your own body butter, or you can buy mine off of Etsy, whichever one you want. But super easy. And yeah, I just wanted to make a video for you guys just to show you guys my process. And I'm gonna list all the ingredients in the description box. So if y'all want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends, all of that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.